Alright, when we last left our band of intrepid adventurers, they had just finished plumbing the depths of the ancient ruins that the Hobgoblin band had been using to launch raids against the kindly folk of Goldenfields. Returning to Waterdeep with the knowledge that the kindly followers of Shantea and Lathander that served the breadbasket of the North would endure no more assaults had left the party quite happy, despite the occasional bouts of desperation when embattled. Upon their return, Zacharias greeted the newly minted band, known as the Best Available, and satisfied with both their success and their new name, he continues to work political angles in Waterdeep to ensure the group's inclusion in the coming competition. Now, having found success, and arguably more importantly, treasure, Velatha and her allies turn to the overstuffed streets of Waterdeep in search of items that could help them in their quest, items that could be useful on their journey, and for one of them, an item that makes them feel like the legendary figure they were born to be. Happy to be back in Waterdeep after such a long journey, they take their time browsing the market stalls. The first stop is more healing potions, naturally, but the group slows as they pass a hastily constructed stall claiming to carry enchanted goods. Perusing the diminutive shop, the party inspects the goods on display, weapons, potions, armor, garments, but turning over each price tag, they quickly move on. Thousands of gold for a single sword was far beyond their budget, at least for today.
Potion of Supreme Healing is 2,000 gold pieces.
No, thank you.
+1 short sword is 1,600 gold pieces.
Ooh, that's a lot. And she will just mumble something about the economy.
The economy mumbles something back.
Tobias stops at a mannequin in the corner of the shop, spying a cloak that, despite there being no perceivable breeze inside the Emporium, seems to billow majestically regardless. He thinks to himself,
"If I am to be a famed wizard one day, such a garment would certainly complement my natural heroic image."
Crossing his fingers, he hopes the ornamental piece might not break the bank as he flags down the clerk.
"Excuse me, Sir Shopkeep. Might I inquire the cost of this fine cloak you have here?"
The Cloak of Billowing can be yours for the low price of 370 silver pieces.
Okay, Tobias is going to have himself a new cloak. Literally all it does is billow.
It billows dramatically.
All right, yeah. Tobias needs it. He will happily fork over the 370 silver pieces.
A cloak that billows dramatically.
Yeah, he totally take off his little overcoat, and that's his. He still has his vest, and this is now his his overcoat.
After their shopping trip, the party's resident elves decide to visit the Yawning portal a little early. Velatha, ever the bard, puts on quite a performance, whilst Bethaniel, ever the outcast, sulks quietly in a corner, like the rogues of old. Both, however, are able to put their long ears to use and overhear some rumors most intriguing indeed. After Velatha's songs come to an end, the pair of them meet at their usual table, swapping their newfound knowledge soon after Angela and Tobias arrive from their personal business. First is that a great guild of thieves which once dominated Waterdeep, long since having gone into hiding, are rumored to be hiding within Undermountain itself, and this year may well see their return to power. And secondly, a ghost story. Hallister, the mythic figure who's claimed to be the architect of Undermountain, has taken several apprentices into the depths with him. One, a man named Nestor, sought immortality as a lich, but his magics were flawed and over time he deteriorated into a husk, merely a skull and bony hands wandering the depths, driven mad by his failure. The tales are heeded with wide eyes from both the fighter and the wizard, and shall not be soon forgotten. That must be tucked into their memory now, though, because it's not long after this that Zacharias arrives, ready as always with another quest for the group to prove their mettle.
He says, "I believe I have found the key to your ascension. As you know, we have a little over a week before the groups that are going to be allowed to go into Undermountain are chosen. And if you still wish to be a part of this great adventure, we need to do something impressive."
Tobias snaps the action word for his Cloak of Billowing and asks Zacharias, "Impressive, you say?"
Oh, that is impressive. Find it on your adventures?
Actually, I found it in a market stall.
Oh, you should tell people from now on that you found it on your adventures. Anyway, so, the Uthgardt barbarians, they are all across the savage frontier, and a particularly dangerous group of them were known as the Thunder Beast tribe. These great barbarian warriors rode on the back of massive, blizzard-like creatures. They were most famed, however, for their velociraptor cavalry, which were twice as devastating as any other cavalry archers you've ever seen, trust me. Which, of course, led to them running up against a particularly stalwart defense. During this battle, most of their tribe was scattered to the winds, and they are considered defunct. However, every tribe has a mount, a place where they would worship their animal spirit. I have been able to determine how we can find this mount. So, this is the quest that I pose to you. Go to my friend Felosinney's little hideaway in the forest. She's just a few days northeast. Speak with her, and then use this map, and he sets a map on the table, to find your way to the mount. I would be exceedingly glad if you would also chart down the path that you took following this star way to get to the mount itself. And once you are there and you have found its location, return to me, and this will be a great discovery. What say you?
I would be willing to take on this journey.
Sounds like an exciting adventure.
I believe this sounds like something we're capable of, yes.
She was just kind of casually listening, but then she nodded her head.
And that means that you've got the best available to do the job.
The best available. The airship will set you down just south of the crags, and you'll be heading south into the Neverwinter Wood. Felosinney's her home is difficult to miss. She has taken up residence within a massive oak tree. She has a nice little tree house.
That sounds lovely.
Well then, if that's it, then I will have Biggs and Wedge go ahead and get the airship set up to take you north. So, your party lands to the west of the Long Road at the edge of the Neverwinter Wood. And as you are heading down to land, you can see the smoke rising from the town of Forgehelm. You're actually near enough to the town that Zacharias and his former adventuring party had founded that you can see it on the horizon. But all that passes away as you lower back down to the ground and once again trod upon the earth. The day is bright, and the Neverwinter Wood are filled with bird song and the occasional dash of creatures bounding through the underbrush. You follow the instructions that Zacharias had given to you, and you do find your way to a massive oak that stands out over the rest of the forest. Deeper inside of the Neverwinter Wood, there are trees this large for miles. In this particular one, you can see a series of large buildings that have been nestled in the branches, as well as a raised platform that hangs from the tree's boughs. Looking around, you don't see either anyone here to greet you, or any kind of entryway.
Suppose we should look around the tree and try and find some way up.
So, after a trip around the tree, Tobias is actually able to spot on the north side of it, there is an entrance.
All right. Do I see any traps upon it?
Not so far. Someone Tobias's size could get through rather easily. Someone Angie's size is going to have to do some work wriggling back and forth to get inside.
Yeah, I think Tobias should go in first and see if it's actually worth bothering going inside.
He will oblige. Let's... I didn't see any trap markers, so through we go.
All right. As you squeeze into the area, you find yourself standing in a small, narrow antechamber that leads to a stairwell. It looks like a masterpiece of woodworking and is at the core of the tree, slowly coiling upwards. There are the occasional small amounts of mushrooms dotting the area.
Tobias is going to peer up the stairwell and shout, "Hello! Begging your pardon, but we were sent by a friend of yours."
Unfortunately, the tree doesn't seem to respond.
Well, while, not getting an answer, he will then stick his little head back out the door and explain to the party that there does seem to be a path going upward, but he does not know that anyone is home yet.
I'm wondering if we should intrude into somebody's home if they're not here. Should we just maybe wait outside?
Well, it's quite a large tree. It's possible they just didn't hear us.
It is possible. If anything, we'll just excuse ourselves politely.
Suddenly, without warning, Tobias's conversational expression changes to shock before he is yanked unceremoniously back into the burrow that he had just explored. Though Angela and Bethaniel are too stunned to act quickly, Velatha rushes forward and peers into the hole, craning her head inside to look for her furry friend. Spying him quickly, she feels relief, but that relief falls away to a sickening dread as the flickering half-light of the Harengon's fallen torch reveals something is very, very wrong. One of her friend's hands is twisted at an odd angle, and she can see that he is shuddering, twitching. The fallen torch's light fades to embers, leaving her seeing him only through her dark vision, and the bard nervously asks,
Is everything okay?
Tobias stops shaking and slowly turns to look at you. In the torchlight, you can see that there are bloody streaks in his fur. Blood has leaked from his ears down the side of his face, and then out of his eyes, flowing over his muzzle and down his neck. When the light shifts, as he turns to face you, you notice that there is a hole in his chest, about 4 inches in diameter. You can see the stairway through him. His little bunny mouth slowly opens, and he retches, gurgling up a fountain of spittle and blood before lunging towards you at the entrance.
What the hell?
Velatha is gonna let out a scream and then try to pull her head out, immediately. She's gonna move away, to right here and be like, Tobias, he's hurt! Or possessed or something.
Angie will rush to the hole to see what's going on in there.
As you approach the hole, you see Tobias's bleeding face pressed against the crease between the roots, and he is currently clawing and scrambling to try and drag himself out of it. He seems to have wedged his shoulders in the hole, but you can hear the cracking as he's slowly pulling his bones through with a snarling...
Oh, jeez.
You grab a hold of Tobias, and you're trying to pull him free from the tree as he snaps at you and chomps down on the center of your gauntlet. His teeth dig into your palm, causing you to jerk your hand back.
Well, I do have the 10-foot pole. Do you think I could poke on through the hole?
Whack him with a 10-foot pole. He's already hurt.
I could knock some sense into him.
Oh, God.
Okay. Go ahead and move up and take a swing at him.
Thanks, I hate it.
You bonk the bunny. He looks at you with a seething rage as blood pours out of his left eye socket.
Jeez.
You didn't hit him there, but he is bleeding profusely from it anyway. Tobias's turn.
I would like to free myself.
Roll a wisdom saving throw. So after being whapped and yanked on, the wedged bunny chokes, gurgles, and begins to vomit from his mouth, nose, and ears.
Oh, jeez.
That's foul.
The gush of yellow fluid splatters at Angie's feet,
Ew.
causing her to take a few steps back.
Yeah.
At the viscous mixture of yellow, amber, and red lifeblood.
Ew.
It is only when the liquid begins to flow and coil like it's looking at you that you realize that something is horribly wrong. He has regurgitated what was inside of him, and now it is seeking a new host.
Ew! Kill it with fire.
After witnessing Tobias's horrific regurgitation of the living liquid from his body, Velatha hurls whatever arcanely infused insults she can muster at the creature.
Stupid sap monster demon, whatever you are. I hate you so much. You're so ugly.
But, having done its daily affirmations, it seems completely unfazed. Even Angela's own blade fails to give it pause as the sap just hardens to amber around her drawn cut, making the edge slide harmlessly off. Bethaniel, seeing the terrible creature and its possessive power before him, lays a hand upon his charge, imbuing her with a resistance to its effects. The terrible wave of ichor seems to sense this somehow, and bypasses Angela, instead lashing out at Bethaniel, who finds that he is held fast as the slime slams suddenly against him, seeping up his form and working toward enveloping him as he struggles to get away. While Angie and Velatha try their best to cut it away, it remains undeterred, oozing ever closer to Bethaniel's mouth. Fortunately, Tobias has had enough time to come back to his senses, and he rises to his paws shakily, and wasting no time in uttering a phrase wreathed in arcana, he expels several bursts of flame to assail the fluid fiend. As the flames rush across its body, the surface bubbles and steams, some burning off or evaporating, yet the sap also seems to soak up the energy of the Harengon's searing fury, causing it to flow like quicksilver. Now hastened by Tobias's fiery assault, the sap demon attempts to dive down Bethaniel's throat, and the young cleric feels its presence more than just physically. A wave of almost unexplainable anguish pours over him and threatens to overtake his mental defenses, but the cleric refuses to give, pushing back with all the force his heart can muster, and finding him retching the goopy creature back onto the ground before him. The creature's hurt was visceral, but Bethaniel had long ago learned how not to give in to pain and despair. Furious at the rejection of a prospective host, the ooze lurches at Angela, but the Shield Maiden's training kicks in, and it finds both of its blows deflected, despite swiftly coming from opposite sides. A quick counter-strike and a flanking jab from Angie and Velatha's respective blades seem to affect it little. Even Bethaniel's toll washes over the creature with no effect as it resists the call of mortality. In that resistance, it senses an opening in the cleric's defenses, and the sap demon launches off of Angela's shield, once again surging into Bethaniel, but the creature's invasion is ended with prejudice. The elf's mental fortitude was beyond a mere demon's ability to shake, and Bethaniel spat it out with disgust. Tobias calls on the weave once more, this time hurling a cascade of magic missiles into the creature, but it is Velatha who has finally had enough. Digging deeply, she has been searching for the searing words that will scorch the creature's understanding like a sizzling wound, finding in her heart a strike more true than any she'd managed to make with her blade. It has been tricky to find words that might sting this kind of creature, lacking personhood in the proper sense, but she felt no doubt as she opened her lips this time, even striking a dramatic pose to enhance the delivery.
Velatha is once again going to shake her fist and be like, "I bet your mother was maple syrup."
Though no conversation was ever had with the creature that might help to determine why this phrase struck home so well, one can only assume that there is some commonality between the emotions of sap monster and man. Vain as we are, we're ashamed of our insecurities. Though somewhat preposterous, it could lead us to assume that it hurt because it's true. Quaking with the psychic torrent, the ooze suffers parting blows as it flees, possibly weeping, back to the surface of the tree, where it sinks into the bark, vanishing from sight and leaving the party panting with exertion.
Great. So we've not seen the last of it yet.
We probably shouldn't have sent you in, Tobias. Sorry to have suggested it in the first place.
Oh, it's quite all right. I was rather curious anyway. I'm not anymore, though.
But that brings another question of what the heck is going on here, and is this person Felosinney? Is she okay?
I hardly think Zacharias would have sent us to a friend who would try to attack us lest we have something she needs us to prove.
I think there's something horribly out of place here.
And that is where we will leave our troop. With that beastly slime fended off, the best available is left with far more questions than answers. Is Felosinney safe within their expansive treehouse, and this was just some warden sent to test them? Or is Angela right to believe there is aught amiss here? Even when their allies are turned against them, this party always seems to rise to the occasion, and now you know why TBA refers to this adventure, The Blight by Claire Stricklin, as the Treehouse of Horrors. Or do you? In any case, we are hard at work here trying to reach out to as many people who would enjoy watching our series as possible. Please be sure to share it with your friends and family, as the more people see us, the more we can branch out and start bringing you even more to watch. As always, there's the bell thing and the button thing and oh look, the list of amazing supporters! In the power tier, we have David, Denny, Doodle Poodle, Jay Jones, Night Archer, and William Smith. In the planar tier, we have CJ, Darth Cavalier, Joshua Williams again, Ice Dragon, Natalie Fawcett, PPNTT807, and Sparkle Lord the Fabulous. In the Adventurer tier, we have @Breeze_Bender, Bastion Falconwrath, Ice Commander, John R300, Justin, Katie, Mystics, Nevianezes, Dragon Tempest, Rosilla Streaming Network, Shadowmencer, and Sneaky GI. In the Quest Giver tier, we have Bird or the Cage, Drew Tucker, Kyla, Robert Mischief, Rio 1990, Slathar Silcom, and V. And in the Townsfolk tier, we have Biz Adrian, Ginseng 3, Matus, Night Archer, Okada, Scott Stedman, Sergeant Humpty, Shugenja, Spirit Radio, and Tom Brazeau. As always, this could not have been done without our fantastic players and our creative team, Doodle Poodle, Nala Fontaine, Shadow Wolf, Scorpius187, MC_Cheshire, Thriving Inferno, and the Forever DM, me. Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure, and I will see you in the next one. Good night, all.